True Crime Cowboy.
Good morning, folks. It is Thursday morning, November 10th. Now, let me apologize ahead of time because I have my gas fireplace going this morning because it is freaking cold. It snowed most of the day yesterday here, and I think the highest, it finally got up above freezing once yesterday, up to 33. One other app said 35, but ain't not a whole lot of difference between 33 and 35. I mean, either one's barely above freezing, but it didn't feel above freezing to me. It was cold. Anyway, it's cold this morning, and so I got my fireplace going, which makes a little bit of racket. So if you hear that in the background, again, I'm sorry, but I'd rather have it going than me sitting here with my teeth chattering trying to talk. So anyway, this morning what I want to talk about is how to burglar-proof your home or protect it from home invasion. Either one applies. So I've got 14 different things for you. So let's get into it. Okay, number one. Take a walk around your property and think like a burglar. All right, let's say you were trying to break into your own home. And if you've done like me and locked your keys inside the house before, you may already know how to get into your home. All right? But the thing is, you know, we kind of pay attention to the aesthetics, you know, of how our home looks. Like, make sure the grass is cut, make sure everything's, you know, looking good. But how often do we really look at it and walk around it and say, okay, if a burglar's trying to get in here, how would they get in? Anyway, that's the first place that you start when you're trying to protect your home from break-ins. You know, walk around the house, look for, you know, any areas of weakness. Look for easy access points, low windows, unlocked doors, or high shrubs that you could hide behind. Or take a look inside your windows. Do you have any unobstructed views of, like, your, you know, like say you have a big screen TV, you have stereo equipment, and I forgot to turn the volume down on my phone again. There, now it's down. Do you have, if you're a burglar and you're looking into windows, is there anything in there in plain sight that you're like, oh, I could break in and steal that? You know, try, you know, hanging shades or curtains that conceal the interior of your home and any expensive items that you have. So just make it hard for somebody to just look in and see, you know, if they're casing out homes or whatever, you know. And also don't forget about your expensive outdoor items as well, like grills, bicycles, machinery, tools that should be, you know, stored. If you have a shed, it's the best possible scenario, in a locked shed. But just look at the outside of your home and say, if I was a burglar, what would I be looking for to break in this house? Okay, number 2. Keep shrubbery neatly trimmed to help cut down on intruder hiding spots. If you have a bunch of overgrown shrubs and bushes, what that does, that provides protective cover for somebody trying to break in your house. Like, say, a car drives by or a neighbor walks by, they can duck down behind a bush and hide. Don't give them any protective cover. So eliminate any potential hiding spots by keeping everything trimmed and low to the ground. Because the less opportunity there is for them to take cover and hide, the more likely they'll be caught in the act, or they'll decide it's just not worth it. Also, too, if you live like in a 2-story house, say you have a split-level house or whatever, and you have trees around your home, make sure there's no branches close to where somebody could climb up the tree and get in an upper story window. That's happened plenty of times. Make sure, all right, if you have to, hire a tree trimming service to cut off those branches and alleviate any access to upper story windows by them being able to climb a tree. Also, don't leave a ladder outside. Speaking of leaving your tools and stuff outside, don't leave a ladder outside, where they could use the ladder to just crawl up there and get in an upper story window. Think about things like that, A lot of people leave stuff like that sitting outside. I've seen it. My dad used to do it all the time. There's a ladder right up against the house. Of course, this house is only 1 story. But still, don't make things easy for them. All right, number 3, use lights to deter burglars. Now, what I would suggest, okay, and there's pros and cons to this, which I'll discuss a little bit. To me, the best thing you can have are motion lights. You don't need an outside light on all the time. But here's the thing about motion lights. If you got somebody that's casing your house at night and they're walking around outside and all of a sudden that motion light comes on, it surprises the crap out of them. When they see that light comes on, a lot of times they'll just take off running because they don't know if you turned it on or if it's a motion light. Now, the one drawback, and I can fully attest to this because I have a motion light in the driveway. I also have a neighbor across the street that has 6 cats that love coming over here into my yard. And at night, they are forever setting off the motion light. And I've tried adjusting it, to where it's like a little bit higher level. But they still just seem to set it off. All the time, every night. So if you do set one up, try to set it up where it's high enough where it'll pick up a human walking, but it doesn't pick up dogs or cats or coyotes or whatever. But a motion light is the best thing I think that you can have as far as deterring burglars because of the shock value. They're out there, walking around your house and all of a sudden, boom, that light comes on. More often than not, they'll take off running. All right, number 4. Use technology to keep an eye on things at home. Now, this might not be affordable for everybody, but I will say this. One of the best things that you can have is a Ring doorbell. Because you can set up that Ring doorbell at your front door and also at your back door. If you have a back door, it might not be a bad idea too, buy 2 of them. The nice thing about the Ring doorbell, and also too, if you can afford indoor cameras. Now, an indoor camera setup is not cheap. So there's probably a lot of you that can't afford anything like that. But if you can just at least get like a Ring doorbell so you can see who's at your door and monitor who comes to your doors. The nice thing about it is you can monitor all this from a phone app. So even if you're at the grocery store buying groceries or you're out of town, it can alert you when somebody comes to your door if you have a Ring doorbell with a motion sensor. It'll pick up anybody that comes around your house that's in view of that doorbell or in view of the camera on the Ring doorbell, and you can look on your phone and see, like, if somebody's trying to get in your front door. You can see them trying to get in, and you can either call a neighbor, you could call 911 in that area. Of course, you'd probably have to call a secondary number, but I would have that in your phone. Because if you're not in that 911 area, the 911 call is going to ring to the area that you're in. So if you have a secondary number, or like I said, if you have a neighbor that you can call them and say, hey, somebody's trying to get in my house. And then they can call 911. What? Copper's sitting there going, He doesn't like it when I get on the microphone. He's like, you're not giving me attention. I'm not giving you attention. All right. No. Yeah. He's looking at me like, dude. But anyway, if you can get something like that, a Ring doorbell or some other, and there's some other ones too that you can install that are the same thing but cheaper than the brand name Ring doorbell. There's other brands too that are a little bit cheaper. And a lot of them you can get on Amazon. I've seen all kinds of things like that on Amazon that you can get that are cheaper than the Ring doorbell. But if you can afford the Ring doorbell, that's the best one, I believe. But that way you can keep, and if you have indoor cameras set up, you can also monitor those on an app. But again, that's not an inexpensive setup. So, but you can do what's within your affordability range, to try to protect your home. Okay, number 5. Lock your doors and windows. Now, honestly, this should be a no-brainer. But many people don't do it. Many people don't lock their windows. They don't lock their doors. And I can tell you right now, there's many home invasions that could have been prevented simply by the tenants keeping everything locked and not making it easy for the perpetrators. And let me say this. Even in small towns, things can happen. I remember when I was working for Oregon State Police, there was an incident that occurred in Douglas County, Oregon, which is Roseburg area. And this is like out in the boonies between Roseburg and the coast. And there was a young woman, her husband was at work, and she was out in the yard planting flowers with her daughter. Her daughter was like 2 years old, if I remember right. She was out planting flowers in the yard. This guy pulls up in her driveway. And the guy was a complete nut. And anyway, long story short, he chased her into the house. She went into the bathroom and hid in the bathtub. He went in there and shot her and killed her. He didn't do anything with the daughter. He went in and shot the woman and then left. Now, this guy had absolutely no connection to her. This was a random killing. But you would think, living out in the country like that something like this wouldn't happen. And anyway, as the story goes, the guy ended up over on the coast and was in, I think it was a campground, and he ended up shooting another guy with a shotgun, killing him, who came around trying to see what he was doing around his trailer, shot the guy. And then he took the guy's wife hostage, went inside the trailer. And then the guy ended up getting taken out by a SWAT team. Guy got a good shot on him, boom, shot him right in the neck and killed him. So it doesn't matter whether it's a large city, a small area, things can happen. All right, number 6. Install motion and door sensors. Now, here's the thing. If you can't afford a security system, quit your whining. He's been a little turd this morning, aren't you? Yeah, you've been a turd. If you can't afford a security system, you can buy motion sensors and door sensors that will alert you when a door is open, that have a little alarm on them. Some of them have just like a ding dong, Some of them have an outright alarm. I mean, there's different ones you can buy. And again, you can find all this stuff on Amazon. And it's not that expensive. Now, the whole security system, especially like something monitored by ADT or some other, alarm company, that isn't cheap. But you can get some motion sensors to put in areas where people might come in and be walking, or also on your doors. So if somebody were to break in, as soon as they open that door, that alarm's going to go off. In fact, I know one example in particular where a guy broke into this woman. She was there was home alone. And he broke into the house. And first the alarm on the door sensor went off. And then he was walking through the house. The other alarm went off. She had a motion sensor. I think it was like in the foyer, if I remember right. It went off. And as soon as she heard that gave her time to go and grab her gun. And when the guy started coming down the hallway toward her bedroom, she stepped out into the hallway, maybe not all the way, but just far enough where she could get a good beat on him with the gun. And as soon as he saw her with the gun, he took off. I don't remember if she fired a shot or not. I think she did. I think she fired 2 shots. She didn't hit him, but scared the crap out of him. He definitely needed a change of underwear after that. He took off, and then she called 911. I think, if I remember right, they ended up catching the guy. But if she hadn't had those sensors on the door and in the foyer coming into the house that both went off, she would have had no idea anybody was in the house. So just having something cheap like that, some door sensor, they're not that expensive, or a motion sensor with an alarm, they're not that expensive. I mean, I've seen them for around $30-$40. And there's some of them that make a very loud screeching noise. Those are the kind I would get. Because nobody's supposed to be coming in your door, and a lot of times too, when they open the door and that alarm starts going off, they turn around and beat feet. Because they know that the person, if there is a person home, they've been alerted, and they're going to be calling the cops, right? So they're going to get the heck out of town. They're going to get the hell out of Dodge. All right, number 7. Make friends with your neighbors. Now, I'm sure probably most of you, already have done that. But if you haven't, like say you just moved in to a new area, I'd get to know the people there, and I would get to know the ones that you trust, because I would only tell people you trust, like when you're going to be gone. But ask them to keep an eye on your place when you know you'll be gone. And again, only those you trust. Also, I didn't put this in my notes, but it just popped into my head. A lot of people announce, like on Facebook and other social media and stuff like that, oh, we're going on vacation here, we're going on vacation there. I wouldn't do that. Because that's an advertisement that your house can be a target. Oh, we're going to be gone. There's not going to be anybody there. Hey, come burglarize us. Come and take all our crap. I wouldn't be posting that stuff on social media. And so people, it's amazing to me how much information people post on social media that is making themselves a target. Don't do that. But if you have neighbors you trust that can keep an eye on your place, that's one of the best things you can do. All right, number 8. Keep big ticket purchases a secret. All right, let's say you just bought a big screen TV, or you bought a nice, expensive, some other electronic equipment, or say stereo system, something like that you spend a lot of money on. All right, don't stick the box in the garbage or in the recycle bin. Cut it up into little tiny pieces. And I know that's a lot of work, especially if it's like a big screen TV. That's a huge box. But the more that you can keep people, because there are people, this is what they do. This is what they do. They will go through people's garbage looking for stuff like that. They'll go through people's recycle bins looking for stuff like that. And they see those boxes. They go, oh, they just bought an 80-inch, whatever brand TV. Makes it a target. Also, like I said earlier, make sure that any big ticket items are not viewable by a burglar from the outside through a window. Don't advertise it. Try to keep it as secretive as you can. All right, number 9. Close the garage door. And particularly so if, like the house that I had in Montana, you could go into the house from the garage, because a lot of them are set up that way. So keep the garage door closed. It's amazed how many houses I drive by and the garage is wide open. Oh, also, too, here's another tip as far as the garage goes. Even if you have a garage, if you can, now sometimes I realize, like during the winter when it's cold outside, you want to keep your vehicle in a nice warm place. But like during the summer, when it's warm outside, park your vehicle in the driveway. Because if the garage door is closed and there's no vehicle in the driveway, the burglar has no idea whether there's anybody is home or not. But if there's a vehicle parked in the driveway, they're going to assume somebody's there. Even if you're not there, if you have more than one vehicle, I would park one in the driveway if you're going to be gone. That way they think somebody's home. There's a channel that I watched on YouTube, and this gal had gone to visit a friend. I don't remember where it was, but she pulled her vehicle into her friend's garage, and she had a very expensive bike that was mounted, one of those bike carriers on the back of her vehicle. The vehicle, was parked in the garage, but the garage door was open, so it was in plain sight, and she got it stolen within like a half hour of her parking there. So don't leave the garage open. And besides, a lot of people keep tools and stuff like that in their garage. I know that I always had all my tools were out in the garage. And I had one of those cork board things with the hangers on it that would hang a lot of stuff on. So there was all kinds of tools out there. So I never left the garage open. As soon as I pulled in there, boom, I hit that. Oh, and here's another thing. Don't leave your fob in your vehicle. Because vehicles are not hard to break into, especially if somebody knows what they're doing. And I know my ex-wife, she used to always clip it to the visor. And I told her, I said, don't do that. Because it was an older pickup and very easy to break into. Somebody could just break in there, grab that fob, boom, door's open. All right, now I know it might be a pain in the butt to take it in the house when you go in, but I would highly advise against leaving that fob in the vehicle, to where somebody could break into your vehicle and then, as a result, open that garage door and break into your house. All right. Number 10, update doors and locks. Now, this might not be something you're able to do if you're renting, but you can always ask your landlord to do it, although most of them are too cheap. They don't want to do it. But if you own your home, update your doors and your locks. Also, have multiple locks, if at all possible. Like, have 2 deadbolts on there. When I lived in Texas, and this came with the place that I rented, it had, of course, the door lock, on the door handle. You could lock it, and it also had 2 deadbolt locks. Also, another thing that you can do, which I would, if you own your home, I would highly recommend, is to install a strike plate on the frame. What a strike plate does is it keeps someone from kicking in your door. They try to kick in the door, boom, it hits that strike plate. They might still be able to kick it in, but trust me, it's going to be a lot more effort than they're going to want to expend, because they're going to have to stay there a while to keep kicking it in. And they're going to finally give up and they're going to leave. Now, this may not be the case if you live like out in the boonies somewhere and you don't have any neighbors around that can see anything. But a lot of doors are very easy to kick in. One good stomp, boom, breaks the frame, and the door swings right open. If you have a strike plate, that keeps that from happening. Okay, number 11. And this has to do with door hinges. Use interior hinges. Make sure that the hinges on your door are installed on the inside, not the outside. Because here's why. If they're installed on the outside, and I don't know why anybody would ever install them on the outside, but I have seen places and apartments and such where they have done that, which is stupid. Because if those hinges are installed on the outside, all a thief has to do is take a screwdriver, and they can take your door right off. But if they're installed on the inside, they can't remove them. All right, just one more thing. All right, number 12. Protect the windows. Now, there's a few things that you can do here. First of all, you can use window stops, so the window can only be open part way. It can be open, especially, if you have a screen, which I would, if you live in an area where there's a lot of bugs, like here, you want a screen on the window when you open it so they don't come just diving in. But you can open the window far enough to let the fresh air in, but it doesn't open enough to where somebody can crawl in the window. Okay, you can also use a stop for sliding glass doors. Now here's what I did when I lived in a place that had a sliding glass door. I bought one of those, those metal shower rods that you can, twist it and adjust the length. Those are one of the best things that you can use, because that way, when you put it in there, you can extend it to where it covers the entire space. But then when you go to remove it, when you want to open the door, you just grab it, twist it, and shrink it, to where you don't have to fight with it, to get it. But that works really well on the sliding glass doors. Put it in there, it's flush up against each side, so the door can't be slid at all. Okay, another good thing to do with windows, and again, this is very expensive to do, so maybe a lot of you couldn't afford to do this, But a good idea is to install laminate windows because they are much, much harder to break. In fact, I was watching a YouTube video on laminate windows the other day. I just happened to run across it. And it was showing a guy taking a baseball bat and trying to bash in the window. And it was cracking it. I mean, it was like, but it wasn't breaking. You know, another thing you can do too, if you can't afford laminate windows, is you can actually buy laminate that can be installed on the current windows you have to help reinforce them. And it serves the same purpose. And I don't remember how expensive the laminate is, but it's considerably cheaper than, actual laminate windows. All right, number 13. Use signs to help deter burglars. Okay, now this is a little bit debatable because I have seen people argue both sides of the use of signs. But if you have generic signs at certain points that, like, say, security cameras in use, and don't buy specific ones, buy generic ones like that, security cameras in use. And you can even buy fake cameras that you can mount in the corner or mount, above the front door, in strategic places that are actually very cheap and they look real. So you combine one of those fake cameras with the sign. If you can't afford, actual cameras, you can buy those for very cheap. Buy some of those signs. And, of course, the person casing your house doesn't know the difference. They look real to him. All right, and the last one is keep wires covered. All right, now, this is for those that maybe have a security system or are going to install a security system. Make sure that the wires are covered. Make sure that they're not exposed to where somebody who is casing your house may attempt to disable your home security system by cutting the wires. Now, you can conceal exterior wires in electrical conduits, making it very, very difficult for someone thinking about breaking into your house to disable your security system. And this, and by the way, this is where I think, some of those just interior alarms and your door alarm and stuff like that, which are very cheap, may actually be a better option a lot of times. Because there's no wires to cut. They're all battery operated, or they are charged with USB, some of them. But there's nothing for them to cut. There's nothing on the outside. So, I mean, if you want to me, the perfect cheap setup is to have fake cameras outside with a couple signs and then have a door alarm and a motion sensor that you could turn on, even during the day, like in areas that you're not going to be walking and setting it off. You can turn it on during the day, or you can turn it on when you go to bed. All right, just make sure that it's not set to where it's going to catch your pets running around if they happen to move around during the night, and set it off. But to me, that'd be a very good, inexpensive setup, that would help keep you safe, help you alert to anything that, might be coming in the house or walking around in the house. But anyway, I hope that this has been helpful for you. I haven't made a tip of the day for a while now, and I just felt like doing this morning. And like I say, hopefully it's been helpful. Hopefully you enjoy it. And I think Copper needs to go outside. I think that's why he's bugging me. So anyway, I'll talk to you later.